Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday of this week's remote learning. I had about 13 of you take the quiz yesterday. Some of you got 100. I emailed you if you did a great job. If you didn't, there was a couple of you who I know didn't watch the video, and maybe that's why you didn't do so great on the quiz. I can't make you watch the video, but I can only suggest it over and over and over again. I know some of you had the video, and you told me you had the video open next to the quiz in a different tab, and you could switch back and forth so you could walk through all the different questions and try to help you answer the questions. So great job on that. Posting a lesson today. I've decided I'm going to give you today, tomorrow, and then we don't do work over the weekend, but this lesson will then be due on Monday. And then we're going to switch up next week. It's going to be very different than how we've been doing Monday, Wednesday, and maybe like something on Friday. The next review for the chapter test is going to happen on Tuesday next week. And then you'll have Tuesday, Wednesday to get the review work done and then ask any questions. And then I'm going to post the test on Thursday. So you'll have Thursday and Friday to get the test for this chapter done. And then the week after that, we move on to a chapter on measurement. So everything that we've done so far has been based on first trying to figure out what a pattern is, finding out what the rule is with that pattern, and then the last couple lessons that we've done, we've taken that rule, that difference between the X and the Y, or between the input and the output, and trying to make equations out of it. We're just going to be ramping up those equations today with this lesson. Instead of it just being one step, this is going to be multiple step equations. So there's going to be adding, subtracting, multiply, dividing, maybe all of it, maybe just some of that in the equation. There's going to be parentheses, there's going to be a little bit of everything in these equations. For the word problems though, for these equations, you're going to have to, that sun is right there. Let's see, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. For the equations, you're going to have to, for the word problems, you're going to have to create your own equations. And that means you're going to have to read through the questions a couple of times to try to figure out exactly what those questions are asking you to do. So let's take a look at some of those questions in the chapter and get to work here. All right, I'm going to keep me up here today, and let's take a look at the chapter. All right, let me move me over here. Okay, so let's take a look at a question like this. It says, Cameron buys a bag of candy. He gives 3 pieces to his teacher. He then divides the rest evenly between himself and 3 friends. He gives any pieces left over to his sister. Complete the table to show how many pieces that he would get in a bag of different sizes. So this is where we have to go through and we have to create our own equation. It's not telling us what the equation is. So we're going to have to read through this question carefully and try to pull it apart. So let's look first. Cameron buys a bag of candy. He gives 3 pieces to his teacher. All right, look, this sentence right here. He gives 3 pieces away. If you're giving something away, you're going to guess, or you're going to know that that is subtraction. Try to write subtraction, and I don't think I'll be able to, so let's go subtraction and then a minus sign. And how much is he giving away? Each time he's given away 3 pieces. He then divides the rest. Right there, I know the word divides means that I'm going to have to be dividing. So I'm going to have some division in this problem, and then he divides the rest evenly between himself and 3 friends. Well, I'm not just dividing by 3 because it says it's dividing by himself. So we have Cameron, and then we have his 3 other friends. So what are we actually dividing by? Yeah, we're going to be dividing by 4 here. All right. And then he gives any pieces left over to his sister. Now, if you see something left over, you got to think all the way back to when we were doing division. And we know that when we have things left over, that means we're going to have a remainder. If you remember all the way back to when we were doing division, sometimes we had remainders left over. And whatever's left over, Cameron will be giving to his sister. So let's take a look at these problems. All right, so we remember that we had, let me make this a little bit bigger, that we had subtraction by 3 and we had division by 4. So let's go through and let's take a look at what this equation is going to be. And we got to figure out what is our unknown. And let's call our, oh, that's way too big. Let's call our unknown x. And then we know that we're subtracting whatever he starts with by 3 because he gives some to his teacher. All right? And then we know that there's going to be division, and he's going to be dividing that amount by himself and 4 friends. So we got divided by 4 equals, and we'll call our answer y. That's our other unknown. All right, so this is just like we had an input-output chart. This is our input side of the equation. This is our output side of the equation. But here's the thing. It says first he gives away 3. So if we know our orders of operation, which are multiply, divide, then add, subtract, and work from left to right, we can't do that yet because first we have to take away 3. And we know that we can't do subtraction before multiplication and division. So in this equation, we got to put in some parentheses. And remember, those parentheses then allow us to do those steps first. So then we can go on from there. So let's take a look at the first one. If we have, and it's telling us we're starting off with 12 bags of candy. So we got 12, then we're subtracting out our 3. We're putting that in parentheses. Now I'm going to suggest you do this on scrap paper, and that way you can write it over and over and over again so that you can figure it out, because I'm telling you right now, if you do it in a calculator, you're not going to get the right answers. 12 minus 3 divided by 4 equals whatever we have left over, or is our y. So what's 12 minus 3? Come on, what's 12 minus 3? 9. Good. 9 divided by 4 equals our y. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to have to do it over here. If I have 9, I put in my division symbol, I do 4. 4 times what is going to get me closest to 9? Well, I know 4 times 2 is 8, so that's going to get me close. I'm going to put my 8 here. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. So I'm going to have 2 bags of candy, remainder 1. So Cameron has 2 bags left over, and how many is he giving to his sister? In this part, he's giving his sister 1 bag because that's left over. It says right here. Cameron gives pieces left over go to his sister. All right. So our answer here would be 2 remainder 1. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, we're going to have to practice this a while, and I'm going to tell you right now. Watch the video over and over and over again to try to help you remember all of the different steps. And when you're doing this by yourself, when you're at home, have scrap paper next to you and write these equations out just like I'm doing it. So let's say we go on to the next one where we have 15. So we have 15, all right, and then we're going to subtract it by 3, put that in our parentheses, and then we're going to divide 15 divided by 3 by 4 equals, it's hard to write on the computer, y. All right, and we're going to go through and we'll do the entire equation for this one. For the next one, and remember, it was x minus 3, really hard to write, in parentheses, divided by 4 equals y. All right, let's look at the next one. If it's 20, we're taking the 20, we're putting it where the x is. We're subtracting it by 3, right, because that's how much he's giving to his teacher. Putting that in our parentheses, missed on that one. We're dividing it by 4. And that gives us our y. So what's 20 minus 3? 17, right? 17 divided by 4. Oh, really hard to do this. Divided by 4 equals our y. Now we have to do the 17 divided by 4. So we're going to come over here. I'll do it 17 divided by... That's really crazy, going crazy here. 17 divided by 4. I know that 4 times 4 is 16. Everything's going wonky here. Divided by 16. 4 times 4 is 16. We have 1, so it's going to be remainder 1. I know it's sort of hard to see, so I'm just going to show you the answers, but the answer would be 4 remainder 1. So let's take a look at the answers over here. All right, here we go. So the first one, 12 minus 3 divided by 4 equals 2 remainder 1. Then for the 15 problem, it was 15 minus 3 divided by 4 equals 3. There was no remainder here, all right? Because 15 minus 3 is 12, right? And 4 goes into 12 3 times. For this one, 20 minus 3 divided by 4, we just did that one, 4 remainder 4, and it just keeps on going on and going on. So if Cameron buys a bag of 25 pieces of candy, which is right here, 25 bags, he and his friends will get how many bags of candy? They'll get 5 bags. And what happens to those other 2? They go to his sister, but the question's not asking how many go to his sister, it's just asking how many go to him and his friends. You got to be really careful when reading these problems and making sure that you're paying attention to all of the work within the problems. All right, I'm going to pause the video here, and then we'll come back for part 2, which goes through these examples and goes over the work that you're going to have to do.